Chapter 3. Systematic Rule. The architecture of dependence. Non-cons have set up a system of oppression. People are becoming more dependent on governments for their needs. Surveillance is bigger than ever, and soon the digital age will be where all identities and money is used. We are forced to rely on a system to take care of our problems. If a thief steals from us, we're not supposed to chase them, just report them. And it's up to the system if it's worth fighting your problem, but you can't act on your own. That would be independence. A hierarchy in place. It's why most people are useless. Cause they're not in charge of their own actions. USA, EU, supposed to be about independence. There are no independent actions and no consequences. Criminals have all the rights, more free, and you have none. A scumbag is treated as equally worthy as you are, which shows how they truly view us when equality is given to the lowlifes. There's a system of dependency and an action in place. People can't take actions for themselves due to needing permission from another person in the upper hierarchy. Hierarchical rule is common. Every system, every corporation has a hierarchy. In a good society, hierarchies are not needed, only positions. But when you have a hierarchy, you have rulers. And those at the bottom are always the majority and most powerless. Pig for slaughter, basically. You are disposable, worthless and shallow. It's what their actions say. If someone can do a better job than you, or even the same but cheaper, they'll replace you as soon as they can. Due to the nature of our bodies, we are forced to rely on one another, despite many hating each other, due to tribalism and primal non-cons and non-cons alike. People don't like to interact with each other. Rather, this system has discouraged interactions because there's a bigger risk of getting to know someone, and it is safer to stay alone and not interact with anyone. Divide and conquer. And now, due to propaganda and non-cons, people are afraid of danger that comes with meeting someone new. They're dividing us and isolating us, forcing tribalism to take a stronger grip. Ruled by tyrants most of your life, parents, teachers, everyone wants to rule you. Everyone demands you to submit, to bend the knee, to bootlick, to be brown-beaten into doing whatever the masters wants you to do. Slavery is still a thing, but it has no name. The only name, it seems in the Eurosphere, is that only non-whites can be slaves. This is a distraction. Everyone is a slave to the system. Black, white, small, tall, women or children, disabled or animal. We are all slaves either to this system or to our desires. Roman 2. The illusion of merit and freedom. This system is not of meritocracy and freedom. Working as a job or anywhere you are, or in any hobby, there will always be favoritism. Non-cons will always choose who they like the most, instead of who is the most capable, based on ideology. And people can't fight if there's a corrupt government. Most countries in the world have made some form of fighting back illegal. It's the standard for governments in Ananke Orbis to make fighting back illegal in a roundabout way. But also because parasites can and will always exploit loopholes. If it can be used, it will be abused. Because unwanted souls get dumped into this planet. All the unlikables are here. Roman 3. Guns, fear, and the collapse of trust. Even in the USA, some states make it impossible to own a gun, despite those laws being unconstitutional. The broken laws are still there, because the government pretends to not care, when in reality this is working as intended. The non-cons want this world's people to be defenseless, because they can farm us more easily. Propaganda says guns are bad, but guns are tools that highlight problems. People would feel safe if they trusted people. If they walk in a room full of gun owners and don't feel safe, it's the people you don't trust. How do you live in a world that is made out of nationalities that you can't trust your own people with owning a weapon? Simply, nationality is a farce. Flags are territorial claims for division. Even when non-cons or people get to own guns, there will always be concouvers. Roman 4. The collective over the individual. And in an ageist society, where the young are always looked down upon, They don't trust young people with weapons nor positions of leadership. Non-cons use generalist views. They don't see every individual as a different person, but as a collective entity. While individuals have little power as one person, they always feel powerless to do anything. The fact that there's a collectivist society in place, even with the voting system, it's not about the quality of the voters, it's the quantity. Democracy promotes collectivist societies, where there has to be one person representing them, where they have to choose the lesser evil. When it's in fact a slow progress of the plans that the enslavers of this world have put forth. Slowly but surely, every rotten person that is elected has a few rotten policies stack files over the years. This is a long-term game, where as soon as you know it, they slowly desensitize you to bad ideas. And bad policies will pass justifying that it needed to happen for the other policy to happen. Repeat this for years, and you get a chain system where people are relying on the government to do their living. V. Power games and manufactured. Dependence. All your problems will be solved by them. Rather, it will be up to their arbitrary judgment to see if it's worth pursuing your problem. You don't even own your own problems, it's the government's property. You can't beat a subhuman because you're not allowed to. They punish resistance. This is a system set up as a power game and propagandized as a moral one. One of the goals of non-cons is to rob us of our ability to fight and make us incapable of defending ourselves. The ones with the biggest power get to bend the rules. Lawyers and courts are meant for rich people. The only way to get someone back is by suing. And suing costs a lot of money, and who ends up winning? It's the government. They get paid the most. No honor, no dignity, just dirt money. Suing is a pathetic practice. Blood and honor is the old way. Dueling was banned because rich people kept challenging themselves and saw loss in numbers. Some would consider it filtering out the idiots and crassmites. If you insult someone gravely, that person should have the right to challenge them. It's common for DeLeos to exist in the modern age, and it's a system that naturally filters the idiots out. The lazy and stupid die. Cause surviving is winning. No matter how wrong you are, pragmatism wins all. But the loophole is that they keep challenging for money or dying for free. And if someone is suspected of doing such things, they should be sentenced to torture. Instead of blood and honor, they chose money and the easy way out. The law of predators. But they wanted the idiots in the front lines and making stupid money rather than having competent citizens. So rather than dying honorably, they're used as cannon fodder instead by the generals. Pawns of a bigger game, one dies, another replaces it. They project their illusion of power towards the conscious people, where if people break any laws, they will be punished by the all-seeing, all-knowing law. The system endorses bullies and prickens, and punishes those that fight back, where they try to punish both sides, when they're only punishing the conscious person, like how slave school doesn't want you to fight back or question them. Like how every corporation wants you to always bend the knee to your boss and coworkers, despite being abused by these cretins. When you're in a hierarchy at work, you can't punch the subhumans there. They want you to put up with them, and if you hit them, they spot you. Even when you try to be nice to non-cons, they'll spit back at your niceness and see you as nothing because they have a flat conscience. They don't have the capacity of empathy and independent thinking. It's always a power game to these cons, always about submission and domination, no matter the environment, using morals to disguise their disgusting, degenerate behavior. They're programmed to be at the top of the pyramid ruthlessly, but they are not people. They don't act like people, and they don't treat you as an individual person. They only see you as something to step on. Romans 7. The machinery of law and exploitation. Non-cons have made a society where any help you need, any action you want done, you require money, and everything has become lawyerist. We're getting justice. You have to sue them. That somehow, by financially crippling them, they will stop. When you punch someone these days, they can sue back despite being the provoker. But the one that wins at the end is the system, because you're making them money and capitalizing on your suffering. Everything has to revolve around money because at the end of the day, you're a slave to their factions of factories. If there's one thing to remember of the law is this: the law always favors the criminals, always favors loopholes, never the victims. Every legal loophole will be used so criminals can run away and try again. Smart people don't get caught. Roman 8. The criminal and the cage. You have to break the law to defend yourself, and to have retribution, you must also break the law. Absolute lunacy. It's illegal to act on your own. If you want to be a citizen, you have to be a bootlicker. Though every opportunistic place likes bootlickers. The state raises children, parents are an extension of the law. The child has no free will of its own. No one even talks about this. Children constantly told they will go to jail if they don't go to slave school. Propagandists lie and jail people. Slave school is already a miserable experience, yet normalized abuse. Despite millions upon millions of residents in the Eurosphere, and all of Asia, no one talks of this worldwide oppressive system. Slaves go to school to be molded into followers. Factory workers, cannon fodder. The only way a criminal gets caught is if they make a mistake. Either they become arrogant and pompous that they bragged about their crime, that no one found out and they get snitched on, or they get lazy and don't prepare enough, or become desperate and reckless with criminals. They don't get caught the first 100 times, is after a while doing over and over. They start to be less cautious and become more lazy. A real pro would choose its targets and planned ahead in months. You see that criminals only get caught by accident. It's not a moral system. It's a survivalist system. Propaganda has stated that if you commit a crime, you're morally bad. Yet not. In the USA, many are doing drugs over and over. Many famous people and rich people do it. Is the law just decoration? Where's the legitimacy? Rich people don't want to get caught. They don't want to lose. So they hire a scummy lawyer, and they use all the loopholes so the rich one doesn't end up in jail. In the end, it's a game. There's no good or bad, only winning and losing. And you must have ammunition to fight. No ammunition, no armor, and no ability to fight back. It's why prickens take advantage of those that are doing bad. If you fall, people will show up to kick you when you're down, at your weakest, at your most defenseless, because non-cons know they can attack you now. It will always manifest that way. You will always be taken advantage of because it's designed by primal nature to do so, and it's also rewarded a lot. The subhuman non-cons work the same way an animal does. An animal carnivore will kill a newborn because it's new food. A carnivore will kill an animal who is injured and weak. Once it dies, they eat their corpses. Non-cons follow this same spirit in our societies. We live in a society of animals and subhumans. They're non-con machines with no worth other than keeping the ecosystem going. There's no conscious value in their lives. Animals are also non-cons, so they must be tortured as equals to non-cons in human shapes. Animals and civilized society use similar systems. Animals will show you no mercy in the wild, and neither should you. Don't spare your enemies because they won't show any to you. If you feel bad for them, they will use that chance to strike you. You must be ruthless. The non-cons have taken too much advantage of our empathy that has run out. In whatever new country all of you will build, it will be one devoid of compassion and mercy. Roman 9. The legal parasite. Lawyers are leeching scum. You see these lowlifes live luxurious lives with the money they've stolen. They live in mansions and private homes. You see all those big private properties, houses. Lawyers live in them because they can afford it. Blood money, don't care about what current morals or practices or systems non-cons preach. They're paid criminals, lazy, and only work for the biggest fish. Their pay is high and prioritize money. Like all systems and communities, this one got corrupted too. But only rich people can hire them. Somehow it devolved by the standard that to get revenge you have to hire a lawyer. It's good propaganda, and a combination of brain rot to accomplish this. Vermin constructing this system to farm us. A lot of Americans are very stupid because they're kept that way. It's like the opposite of what German was in Prussian times, docile, unquestionable belief. Prussia raised its people by propaganda of unquestionable belief, collectivism. Due the competence of the leaders it worked. USA is opposite but similar. Keep the people dumb and misinformed, especially the Southeast. There has been bizarre propaganda and brainwashing done in the South, mostly southeast of America. They defiled warrior culture to become a degenerate filth practice. They're used as an example to not own guns, but it's due to propaganda, schools, systems, standard of living, and COEL that crafted this culture. And the capitals of urbanized states use these examples. There's a ton of brainwashing done in the Southeast equal to a cult. A combination of poverty, unhealthy habits, and an out-of-touch culture caused this. The trust-funded society. Society is built on trust, especially back then, in the Middle Ages. A general could have easily lied about a report to cover heinous crimes, and much has been done. The fact that many were sent into far lands showed trust and faith. These concepts were crucial in maintaining social order and stability. These days, anyone building such a society would be extremely nervous. These days, trust is built on fear. Trust is perhaps the biggest mechanic of a society, but that trust turned into propaganda and dogmatism. When someone has a lot of trust, you have stability, you can freely walk around and go wherever. But we don't have trust, we have illusions of consequences and propaganda. The ones in charge don't trust us. Right now, too many are brainwashed to force their kids to slave school and manipulate them to go to debt college. So slavery will make a comeback and enslave these subhumans if it keeps going like these. And people will enslave others out of hate, not race, perhaps ideology. But people are way too angry to care about justice when none was given to them. Too much garbage, might as well recycle what you can. Human experimentation, trafficking, free labor, anything works, as long as they are treated as the subhuman non-cons they are. Roman 12. The life trap. The life trap that is set up is to rob us of our individuality and freedom. Going to school, college, marriage. These are all the traps set for individuals. Many of these traps take away your freedom, being in slave debt until your 40s, 60s. You will never live life free under this system. You will always be unsure, unstable, and insecure of your place in life. You will always be incomplete. People who give in to fear lose. Some start doing things out of fear and they end up losing. It happens to all of us, rushing things. Time is of the essence, but when we give in, we lose. That's the cruel reality of that. Roman 13. Transparent. Slavery. Slavery and theft is more transparent now. It's more financial and guilt-tripping, as well as hostage-taking of things, just more subtle. And the non-cons try to justify these annoyances as technically not illegal or wrong, but you hate it, dislike it, and find it wrong. As long as these feelings persist, the non-cons are doing something wrong to take advantage of you. Because the USA or the Eurosphere and soon the world, you will no longer live where you can beat to a pulp the ones that wrong you. So it becomes all talk and no actions. And since the primalists only respect violence and think only in violence, they find those that don't punch others as weak. But if you punch someone, you get charged with a crime, or not, depending who you know, or what hierarchy level you are. So you can't hurt someone legally or in plain sight without being seen as unquestionably wrong, because the non-cons don't want a conscious society that fights back. No, that would be too hard for them. But with sacrifice comes victory. You have to risk a lot to win. Bravery brings change, especially if you're scared. It's hard, very hard even. But it's better than living the rest of your life in chains. Canes. But by putting tape in a pipe, it will only cause the pipe to explode from steam. In other words, What could lead to a fist fight will now turn into a torture sentence that could last months or years or centuries beyond. Because anger builds so much that it becomes the lowest common demeanor of dehumanization of the enemy. But we live in a society with subhumans, so the thought isn't wrong. As long as you are a corporation, you can commit crimes with no consequences, as they have too many numbers to be taken down, too big to fail. Power speaks the strongest. Like all animals and people, no one challenges the bigger number, they only pick on the small ones and pick fights they think they can win. They stomp on the weak and suck up to the strong. They don't want any consequences for their actions. And never will, because money laws are in place in all countries. Nationalism is a joke. People don't think of their country but are brainwashed to wave the flag of the place they spawned in. No one is really from their country, and no one is safe from other countries. You could call countries teams, but you didn't choose the team. The team chose you, and now you are their servant, and the politicians are puppets to this slave factory. As long as their greed, as much greed as anyone else has, gets filled. They will keep forcing people against their will to do their desires. As if power can be used, it will be abused, as we have no free will, only determination and hate. Roman 14. The parental machine. The parent was never meant to raise a free mind, only to deliver another body to the system. From the start, they are handed a script written by institutions. Registered when they're born, inject the vaccines, send the child to slave school, reward obedience, punish defiance. The system doesn't just want workers, it wants non-cons. People who have surrendered there will so completely they can't even imagine freedom. And who better to enforce this than the parent, rebranded as a caring authority but functioning as the system's first handler? They train the child to submit before the state ever lifts a finger. The home becomes the first processing center where independence is reshaped into compliance, softly, daily, through what's best for you. In this way, the parent becomes a carrier of control, attempting to turn the child into a submissive, docile puppet. Cause either they were broken by it, or are non-cons. Locans hurt people who hurt them. They might as well be non-cons as two types of people. Either they stop being abusive, or become abusive themselves. Instant chainsaw decapitation to these filthy subhumans, unworthy of life, waste of oxygen and biomass. They get abused, so they become abusive, like their star figure. The cycle ends there with a horrendous soul-crushing torture to death, maybe weeks, months, or years. Any person who was abused and becomes the abuser would be sent to torture camps. No conscience, instant non-con, pig for torture. A walking target. A failure of someone who fails to learn the most obvious, not to become abusive, has no conscience. Doublespeak cuts both ways. Some will brand another as racist not because of truth, but because they hope it is true, because the label makes that person easier to attack. In this way, accusation becomes a weapon, not a search for justice. It is the non-cons tactic, to reduce complex reality into slogans so the collective can swarm and destroy without thought. Parents are often little more than idiots clinging to stereotypes. They chain their children's freedom, beat them into obedience, laugh at their pain, and call it discipline. Some hide behind role titles, mother, father, protector, warden, only to weaponize those titles as shields for abuse. A cretinate may degrade her son as lazy, unworthy, hated simply for being male. A cretinate may break his daughter under the weight of archaic expectations. These are not individuals, but non-cons acting out roles, enforcing dogma. What is this, if not objectification? The child is never treated as a person, only as a pet, a toy, a trophy to display. Due to the system, every child is financially chained to their cretinate. They can't run away because the police would find the child and bring them back to their abusers. Society is set that any child alone someone will grab them, so you are a slave to your parents, nothing but a trophy or pet. You are never treated as a human with human rights. You're treated as subhuman, beaten, abused only because you have a small body, because they wouldn't do this to an adult that can fight back. and it's illegal to try to kill or hurt these abusers, cause non-cons normalized societies beating their kids. Some non-cons act spoiled on purpose to make children look bad. Even children can be non-cons. And how non-cons are trying to force everyone into having children, bad parents are a common sight, forced into a role they never wanted. It only makes the situation worse. It's very common that a parent is single. He or she will try to get a belover or belover, and that boyfriend/or girlfriend will likely abuse the child either physically, sexually, or emotionally, or all three. It always leads to that because the child is in the way of the relationship, but the single parent tries to push the responsibility of being a parent to the belover. But the person doesn't want it, so it ends up abusing it. Or even if they end up with two parents, they're always oppressed, limited, and caged. There's only different types of suffering. Poverty is big with the masses. You notice these parents don't care about raising kids, whether they had kids by accident or on purpose. This is always the result: child abuse. The child is powerless. If they run away, police go after them. If they attempt to hurt or kill a parent, they get arrested. No matter the age, if they successfully hurt their abuser, they are punished because non-cons designed it to be intentional. A child, due to their small bodies, are absolutely completely powerless. And to escape from such a system, it's like running away from a concentration camp. Whether that parent ends up in court or gets the child back after lying to authorities to catch the slave back, the child seems the risk too high cause once they get caught. There I'll be beaten for running away. Courts favor the parents because they have an advantage of being older and speaking, and the status of a parent no matter how abusive. The child will scream and cry, but that's often ignored and they get sent back anyway. It's common in Afghanistan, where children will be sold to adults despite refusing. They get sold off anyway, and they end up abusing or violating the kids. Children are, and will always be, exploited. That practice goes by another name, but the intention is there. Selling their own kids, that kind of value placed on kids, is very common. Sure, it is illegal to do that in the Eurosphere, the supposed most advanced sphere. But the intention is still there, that same value placed on children, it's still there. No person in the world can't tell you this is slavery. The most common type. Children have no human rights, they're treated as second-class citizens, and no one talks about this. They're not allowed to work, they can't own a house. They're financially chained to their cretinence, and this lasts through adulthood. One day they're kicked out of the house and clueless what to do since slave school teaches them nothing. They're out there cause cretinants don't want to raise children, only keep them as pets. They never get taught how to manage finances or pay taxes, they're lost. Clueless, powerless, and that's intentional. Others stay inside and do nothing, like the cases of Japan or Italy. Young people stay inside and do nothing, cause it's all they know. This abusive system is never ever brought up by anyone. The child has no powers and are laughed off for pursuing revenge. This leads to crime, mass shootings, etc. The child growing up craves retribution, and they get laughed off by people, and realize the enemy was in front of them all along. It was just too big to see until now. You must seek true justice in this world, for you, for me, for all of us. Any group brave enough to stand against this tyranny. Roman 15. The system's enforcers, just because they're a judge or a law enforcement or anyone that works for the system, does not mean they're good people. A lot of them are there for a paycheck and could care less about anyone on the opposite side of the courtroom. They are on the bigger, richer, more secure side. Doesn't make them good, just safe from poor people's cause. Remember, they steal your guns and weapons. They never fight you or berate you on equal ground, and are very brave against unarmed people. They can only curse at these subfiles. They add sentences for fun if they get disrespected. Really fair system. If it was equal ground where how they treat you costs their life, they would act very differently. Because the risk of getting hurt or killed makes them a lot more benevolent. Egotistical, corrupt, biased judges are common, God complex, and wearing pretentious uniforms. They're not moral people. They're there because of the system. Jumping them and hitting them is not morally wrong. You will see more and more getting guards and such on their little kingdoms called courts. But in reality, they're just garbage, amoral with their only sense of right being their paycheck and how much social prestige they get. They also have immunity against the law. That should tell you enough. They rarely face consequences, and most of them get away free of crime. The average person would get sentenced to 15 years in person if they did anything remotely close to what these egotistical god complexes do, demanding respect and lack of accountability. No consequences for their actions, and double down when someone tries to assault them for giving them an unfair sentence. If they attack on frustration, more charges, and more to the point, people don't care anymore, and will die trying to kill these greedy, fat, lazy pigs for whatever sentence. They will rattle and rattle, and rattle and rattle, and nothing will stop their absolute determination to annihilate all parasites of this world. They snap their fingers joyfully sentencing people 500 days in prison cause they dared disrespected these contemptible wastes of masses. Have them do that in a room of 500 people fully armed, full of contempt, and see how their attitude changes. Most of them are cowards in the face of equality. It's a job they do because it's easy, feeds their god complex and a sense of superiority. They get a reality check when they get jumped by the people they deem inferior. Show no mercy, they are non-cons. Judges, lawyers, police guards, they're not your friends, just tools of the system. Their only motivation is money. They have no free will. They do such things so they don't get fired. They will do things that are morally wrong, but they do them anyway cause they're afraid of getting fired. If you ever get the chance, you'll have to show them of something bigger to be afraid of. Violence is the only thing they respect. They're egotistical to the core. You insult a judge, they try to put you on the spot acting, aha, got you. Trying to make you feel ashamed or cornered, but you only have to show no remorse and be proud of what you did. Restrained freedom is only as much as you let them cage you to decide whenever you want to do nothing or be free. They don't want to have a rattling cage. Always resist and always be confident in your cause. Victory or death. Never stop fighting, never stop struggling, never stop resisting. These tyrosers will pay with their blood and the core of their soul for their crimes against conscious people. Never give in, never give up. Remember, your fight is eternal. Romans 16. Mandatory chains, mandatory systems lead to laziness and abuse. Where there's no demand to innovate, its consumers become subjects, and its subjects are exploited. People go to slave school because they don't want to be arrested, beaten, or approached by bum cops on the streets. Paying taxes mandatory makes it about submission to its subjects. When slave school doesn't teach you how to pay taxes, the system is hoping you screw up so they can go after you, just like drafting. Mandatory systems lead to laziness and abuse, where there's no demand to innovate. Its consumers become subjects, and its subjects are exploited. Systematic rule is where the more ones outnumbering the single one wins, and is subjected to chains by the system and collective. No one around you is your ally, and you come to realize stability will never be a thing in your life, only survival. Making it means nothing, seeing years wasted of your life by getting robbed by an uncaring system. There shouldn't be landlords leeching off people's work. Any hard-earned money you have goes to landlords, and you live in poverty if you fail to pay. Landlords are something prehistoric, Middle Ages at best. For it being around shows what the world really is about. Today it's easier than ever to track every single person, so people can be on their best behavior and no one can revolt. The coming of the digital world has shown what the world really is, subjugation. It's about submission. You have to submit, submit, submit. That's what everyone makes the world, the game about. Submit, be ruled, and give up. Give in to pressure. Let people step on you and don't even dare to fight back. We have nothing to lose but our chains. Even if we die, we will continue to revolt for all eternity. Think about how much power you actually have. How little can you change? Money is power, or rather, money grants you the ability to move. The longer the distance you want to travel, the more money you need. People show who they are by how they spend their money. That's the simplest truth. Cash reveals character. Time is the currency the system demands most. The system takes your hours and calls it work. It charges you rent for breathing space, taxes for existing, fines for mistakes you were never taught to avoid. The average person has so little power. How much can they really affect? Voting turns into group therapy for the herd. The herd votes in bubbles, and due to divide and conquer, fear-mongering has become the norm. Trust is rare, and connection is dangerous. If people know you, they can hurt you. Nobody teams up. Nobody talks. Civilians become cattle, sheep on leashes, traveling land to land just to survive. U.S. capitalism has turned living into a survival plan. Whether China or the USA, the direction is the same: subjugation. At some point, following the law feels like being the sucker. When the law is written by thieves and exploited by scumbags, it ends up protecting criminals more than you. Every lawyer, every crooked official, every loophole, they rig it. You stab a guy who hits you, and the system treats you as the offender. The rules protect the lowlife who profits from chaos. Normal people won't fight the trash because they know the system will punish them for trying to keep order. Fighting back is criminalized. The rules were designed that way. That's deliberate. The system rewards predators. It makes protesting a ritual that eats resolve. It requires real will, hard determination, and most people lack both because the system drains them. The laws, the procedures, the favoritism, they all do nothing but benefit the rich and the connected. Those are the public facts no one wants to admit. The slow, steady theft of your years, that's not a bug. It's the product. Landlords still exist. Feudal parasites with new paperwork. Middle Ages leeches dressed in modern suits. You work hard, you build something, and someone else takes the profit. Miss a payment and you're penitent in the modern poorhouse. That landlords persist proves what the world really is about. Ownership without justice. Extraction dressed as necessity. Digital surveillance tightened the leash. Now it's easier than ever to track every person, to watch behavior, harvest data, predict who might step out of line. People act their best because they know they are being watched. It's easier to conform than to resist. Submission becomes habitual. The coming of the digital world exposed the obvious. Subjection is what the world was all about. Mandatory systems, taxes, drafts, registrations are traps. Slave school never teaches you how to pay taxes. That's by design. The system wants you to mess up so they can go after you. Mandatory compliance leads to laziness and abuse of the rulers, and stagnation. When there's no demand to innovate, consumers become subjects, and subjects become exploited goods. Systematic rule is where the many outvote the one, where the multiple ones outnumber the single one wins. The collective grinds the individual into chains. Romans 17. Fear and obedience. No one around you is your ally. You come to realize stability is a lie, life is survival, and making it means nothing when years are wasted being robbed by an uncaring machine. People live paycheck to paycheck, always worrying they will lose their house, giving money to people who do not deserve it. You give your ID, your data, your privacy to institutions you don't trust because you fear the punishments if you refuse. That fear is the mechanism. It breeds obedience. But fear leads to hate. Youths today are angry. They see the promise sold to them, education, work, a house, and watch it dissolve into debt and toil. You subjugate freedom, and in turn you get anger, hate, and a readiness to snap. The system expects that too. Push people to their breaking point, wait for the misstep, and then punish the conscious for being bold. Revolt is predictable, so is the crackdown. This is not a future risk, it's our present. Individualism is being squeezed until it's hollow. They don't want it dead, they want it caged. Subjugation is not different from slavery in effect. Ask yourself, do you want to live in a world where you can't think for yourself? Where you always have to cite someone else to prove your thoughts right? Where every day is spent working for someone who profits from your existence? If you accept this, you perpetuate it. If you refuse, you become inconvenient. The pharmedics, whatever name you give the profiteers of suffering, earn off from your emotions, your strain, your pain. The cycle keeps going. You die, and the blueprint runs again. We have little power in this architecture, but nothing changes until somebody chooses not to play their part. The truth is stagnant, and the options are limited, but knowing the shape of the cage is the first step to stop pretending it's home. Roman 18. Unterlist world, this world is not very promising. You always meet people who hesitate to help. Either they don't help or can't help, useless or unwanted. The world is a garbage place, unterlism to its core. We live short, healthy lives. Genetics is perhaps artificially designed to damage itself, so we suffer health problems, eventually killing us. There's more than meets the eye. How we should die is by casualty, not time. There are many more dangers than dying by age: insanity, torture, mental and psychological breakdown, loneliness. All deaths are psychological. You never truly live your life to the fullest. Most people live losing lives. They get bullied, screwed over, and absolutely do nothing, or nothing they can do. The system doesn't take them seriously unless they can make a profit. The house always wins. It's their pragmatic approach to our despair. No matter how benevolent a system is, its foundation is always about taking advantage of another. If an animal sees a dying animal, it won't feel bad for it. It'll show up as an opportunity to eat food more easily. Same to civilization. Any civilization, across any star or galaxy. Perhaps it's this reality. You can only imagine how many dimensions, realities there are, as the astral plane is so absent in daily life, because the brain doesn't chemically reward such actions. It's extremely strange that an ability anyone can do no one talks about. There's something more going on. Even aliens, some call themselves our allies. Anyone that watches you suffer and does nothing is not your ally, no matter their charms, talks, or advancements. No ally watches another ally suffer under any circumstance and decides to just watch. Any ally would pull them out, not watch them burn. The only biggest fear: not only is all this suffering meaningless, as there is no meaning in the suffering, but we get to explore beyond this world a boring dystopia. This is Ananke Orbis. We only have ourselves, and we're at rock bottom, locked up, barely able to move, powerless to do anything by ourselves, surrounded by non-cons. Even if we are powerless, they cannot kill our resolve. What is born from fire can never be extinguished. The only things that transcends our deaths is our determination and hatred against the enemy. If order trembles by truth, chaos must arise.